Starting to the top left of the map, we have starting for Team AZUBU with 3 wins so far.
AZUBU Violet.
There's a shot of him now. Could close out the whole series. He's up against the player who is starting for FXO, going for a 10th Overlord, and will make the pool at 10 as well. He is...
FXO Lenok.
He actually does not make the pool at 10. He does not also use the extractor trick, so he just makes a 10 Overlord, which is a little bit weird. But, you know, to each his own. A lot of people have discussed to death the best Overlord timing to make, and some people, even after reading these articles, will still make the wrong choices.
The differences are so small that it's a matter of personal preference, what you really like to do, and sometimes you also just miss it. You're thinking about the strategy you're trying to execute, and you want to get the Overlord at 9, suddenly build an additional drone. You're like, well, it's still fine. I can just go for the cans at the gas. It's completely okay.
And you know, if you're having second thoughts about your 10 pool, you can always do this as well. Both players go hatch first. And ZBZ is a matchup that is pretty figured out, I would say, in Heart of the Swarm. It does not seem to be changing a lot right now. And I'm curious if we're going to see, if this game goes late, anything different from what we've already seen so far with the Mutalisk play. We saw yesterday in a ZBZ, players went into Roach Hydra just as you would expect. No investors, though, because Hydras can move a lot faster and investors are not as good anymore. We saw them cut those out.
Investors were the answer to Mutalisks in Wings of Liberty. With the fungal now changed, you have to aim much better. It's much more difficult to hit all of the Mutalisks. They are faster, they are more agile, so it's really difficult to pull this off.
Yeah.
Infestors are just not the answer anymore. And Muta versus Muta is just in this state what we see in most matches. You have sometimes the attempt to go into a different strategy. There are early aggression builds that you can always try to resort on. But still, it's a little bit difficult. And with Mutalisk versus Mutalisk, I don't really want to compare it to Ling Baneling that we saw in the Wings of Liberty in like 2011 all over the place, where one simple move could destroy the entire game for you. But it's a bit similar in the way that you have to control your units and pay attention to the game. It's not that fast, but it's a bit fragile.
It's very much like StarCraft 1 Zerg versus Zerg, where you always, if you're behind, have to turtle, like we saw in our ZVZ earlier today, where there were Spore Crawlers placed, then your opponent makes Lings, and we've seen how that works out. The Lings come in to take out the Spores, clean up the Ground Army Queens, things like that. The Mutas do everything else. You made up a great point earlier about Hydralisk. You know, you would think, from a logical standpoint, but the Hydras would be the choice against Mutas, but because Banelings are so good against Hydralisk if they connect, the Hydralisks are actually just not very useful against Mutalisks. If your opponent scouts your Hydras, he's just going to make Banelings with speed, and it's going to be a massacre.
And this is exactly this thing and this style that Blizzard tried to emphasize a little bit more with Heart of the Swarm. Just having this rock, paper, scissor. These whole rock, paper, scissor ideas work. Suddenly you have Mutalisk, you have the Hydras as a counter, then you go into the Banelings. Balancing all this out is going to be really difficult. At this point, it's just established that Hydralisks are the safest, Mutalisks are the safest option going into this game. I feel as long as it progresses, and we will have subtle changes in Heart of the Swarm, at some point you will be able to go into a Hydralisk build and make it work much more safer than you do now. But for now, it's still something that is a little bit fragile.
Yeah. And guys, I want to clarify what Keller's saying. He's not saying that this game is rock, paper, scissors. It's a luck-based game. He just means that each step has a counter.
I don't believe this anymore, by the way, that rock, paper, scissors is a luck.
Oh, actually, I was going to get into this, but I was like, well, you kind of covered everything, but I was playing paper is the best opening, generally speaking.
Okay, I'm not in. I don't know about the build orders and rock, paper, scissors. I'm not that far. I'm really like a novice, but I thought it was very, very luck based. And then I played Carmack at IEM in Katowice, and oh my god, Carmack played against 5 people. He never lost a single best of 5. I was just looking at it, was like, what is going on here? And he apparently beat Nestea several times too, and won not only an LGIM jersey, but also like a hat and other things, because Nestea couldn't believe it either. Guys, if you ever meet Carmack, if you ever at an event and you think it's a good idea to play rock, paper, scissors against him, don't do it. Yeah, you will lose, and if you bet anything, he will actually steal everything from you. You will walk home in your underpants.
Well, that might be...
Oh, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it, believe me.
I trust you. We had this conversation before, actually, on a plane, I think. I will never play rock, paper, scissors against him. By the way, we have interesting builder variations that I wanted to touch on briefly here. The lair is very late for Violet this time because he's going into double upgrades for his ground units, Carapace and +1. So it's going to make his Lings a lot stronger, which is going to help him hold the third. But can he deal with the Mutalisks of Leenock, which are coming out much faster? That is the question here, because if he can shut down the third repeatedly, he'll have time to catch up with his own Mutas, but if he doesn't, then he's just not going to have the gas he needs, and those upgrades are going to feel meaningless. Oh, wow, the Baneling's gone here. This is actually a pretty close fight with these Lings. Here comes some more defensive Banelings from Leenock, though.
Yeah, Leenock is now trying to turn things around here. We have the third base for both of them coming up. The tech transition is a very different one, and this is really a little bit surprising to me. This is looking a little bit like Rings of Liberty, exactly what we saw back in those days with ZVZ. We have Hydras versus Infestors. And this is actually pretty cool, but I'm wondering if Violet can really make this work.
Yeah, this is going to be... with the Burrow research coming down as well, it starts to make it feel very certain he's going to go for Infestors. Nice run by here. He actually somehow miraculously avoided the Lings and then also got good Baneling hits off himself. He's going to snipe the Queen here and take out a few drones with him. He's going to also keep the Mutas off his back, and one more Baneling hit! He'll kill several drones, and the Lings are still going strong. There are not enough Mutas just yet to hold this up. He's going to lose his Queen as well.
Yeah, the problem is really not that we have those Mutalisks in the air. The problem is currently for Leenock that he is not dealing with Mutalisks. He's dealing with a lot of ground aggression, and he doesn't have a lot to defend against it. So suddenly Violet is just pushing all the right buttons. Leenock is still in a decent spot. He is on 41 harvesters against 42, so it's not like he lost too much. He lost 9 drones in a total, but he's still fine here. The question is rather...
He's queenless now.
Yeah,
is the problem.
Production is the problem, even though we have now 3 bases for both of them. But the big problem is going to be, can Violet really hold the aggression with the Mutalisks?
What is that Baneling doing, man? That Baneling was scared, I guess. He didn't want to give his life, but...
I'm talking all about how Leenock is now in a position where he can actually do a lot more against the third base, and now suddenly it's Violet who runs in with another Ling run by, and Leenock is just not ready for it.
The problem for him is that without Larva, with those Queens being lost, he can't really defend, and part of the reason why these Banelings are not as effective is because with +1 Carapace, you don't actually kill Lings with 1 Baneling anymore, you need 2. And so that's why we had that huge force of Lings just go all down to the red. We're going to see Infestors versus Mutas look like you said, it's going to be a little bit weird. For those of you guys who haven't watched it, because this is the first time an Infestor, I think, has been built, period, in our Heartless Swarm Pre-Season, you're going to see how fungal change really affects things and how it is actually as big of a change as people say it is. It's not an overreaction that people are saying, well, you can't use Mutas or fungals against Mutas anymore.
With the Spore Cross now and the added damage that they do to the Mutalisks, if he can turtle up here, it's going to be fine for him. Still 3 base against 3 base. The advantage that Violet really has is on the ground. He has the better upgrades. He's in a position where he had this third base mining for longer. And now the Mutalisks are coming in, and sorry, not the Mutalisks, the Infestors. And there is nothing that he can do to actually deal with them. Yeah. There's no detection.
Because infested Terrans actually are still pretty good against Mutas, and they're also good against drones. We're about to see a ton of them drop down here. He has 4 in here. He even got the 4th one in. And here we go. Goodbye Mineral Line. He's not going to lose the drones, but he will have to move them away.
He trapped them. He trapped the drones, and now he's taking them down. There was a sick reaction by Violet. Sorry, by Leenock with the reflexes, but Violet is doing now so much damage, and this is really working out for him. Leenock is looking at this like, wait, this is not even supposed to work anymore, but he doesn't have detection at the front, so he can't do anything.
With the Mutas, he can't fight against these infested Terrans. He has to wait for them to time out. He actually runs in here now with the rest of his Mutas, and he can fight. He wants to save his lair.
He needs to find the Infestors, and the Overseer just doesn't see them there at the bottom right, and once again at the natural, another attempt to just do damage with infested Terrans. Leenock is running from the left to the right and back because he has to deal with so many points of aggression.
The Lings now get into the main base as well. This is just too much. Leenock is not able to deal with this. Now he's going to lose his lair for sure. The lair goes down. This means no more tech. He's stuck on Mutalisks. Plus, beyond that, he's losing a lot of mining because he lost one of his hatcheries.
Yeah, he's behind in mining, he lost the lair, and there are still more and more points where his opponent is getting aggressive. Finally, those Infestors have been killed. We had the Overseer now in range, but 37's Harvesters were taken out by Violet, who is now maybe a little bit behind in army supply, but with the defense that he has set up at home with all those Spore Crawlers, he's completely fine dealing with anything that Leenock can throw against him.
Yeah, he's also getting the Hydralisk Den. which against the Zerg, who's so lacking in production, who also has no real tanking ability, he's going to be fine against Banelings. His opponent can't make enough Banelings to deal with the Hydras on an economy that's this weak.
You know, you look at the overall supply and you see that Lenok is in the lead here, but then you have just how this game went and how Violet is now in a position where Lenok can't really attack him because of the things that he has. And Violet is droning up. He just built another 10 drones. He's going into the +2 armor upgrade. We have him with range. He has a Hydra den. So this is him just following a game plan that could not only destroy Lenok, but therefore also the entire FXO team.
The upgrade's really showing through for these lanes. The +1 carapace he got early on continues to be effective. He starts +2. He gets +1 for his Hydras as well. And Lenok, though, despite all of this, is heavily ahead in supply because Violet threw so many units at him that he lost a lot of supply doing so. Oh, this Baneling attack could actually be devastating. Goes for the Larva first.
Uh-oh, and those drones, they are trapped, and he could take out a lot more. He's losing the Banelings now, but he's trying to take out the rest of the Harvesters. In total, he gets 9, but he himself lost 37 over the course of this game, and he's losing another Queen. Once again, these Zerglings run by. How is Violet always getting those in?
It's a good question. This is such a dynamic game that we're watching in the ZVZ. You don't normally see this much action, this much aggression from one player directly like this. The worker count, to give you guys an update, is 40-38 in Lenok's favor. In fact, they're both making a lot of drones right now. I feel the composition advantage definitely goes to Violet. He probably will not get a fungal off here. He doesn't even try it.
The thing is, Lenok is still in this game, and this is more impressive than anything else, that he can still make this work. And even though he lost so much, he is fighting and he's going strong. He now has those Mutalisks, and he needs to be very careful. Here comes the fungal attempt, but he dodges it.
Yeah. And this time he gets hit, though.
Oh my god, he's getting all of them.
This is a basic game ender for Lenok. He doesn't have any way of dealing with this. This is his only tech. He lost his lair, and every single Mutalisk goes down. The supply drops insanely. GG, and he's done it. He's got the all kill.
What Violet just did was he did not try to fungal the Mutalisks where they are. He fungaled where they would be.
Yes.
And he traps every single one of them. Violet, he takes them out. Oh my god, he really did it. He is going for the all-kill, the first all-killer in Heart of the Swarm for the GSTL.
Really well played in all of his games. Lenok just, I mean, he had no other choice but to try to fight with his Mutas. They're obviously stronger together like that, but he got bungled. And, you know, Lenok just got outplayed there. Violet ran circles around him quite literally. And GSTL now goes on. This is only the pre-season, but FXO is out for the first time in 3 seasons.
Violet played a great game, and the last fungal, that was beautiful. Of course, in composition, there was already a point where Violet was in a better position. Lenok was struggling. He was still in a spot where he could be okay. If Violet makes a mistake, then Lenok bounced back. He still has the supply. He has a lot of Mutalisks that he could maybe use to get into the bases and do damage. So it's difficult for Violet to actually move out. But with this fungal, hitting with a Mutalisk would be in 1 second later. That was crazy. That was so good, and he catches them all. And Lenok, of course, losing 17 Mutalisks, knows this is game.
Yeah, I mean, that's all the gas he loses. He no longer has any map presence. He doesn't have any other tech because he lost his lair. I think it was already rebuilt at that point, but I mean, you can't start over from the ground up at that point.
He took so many hits in this game, and it was really impressive that he was still alive and that he was in a position where he could actually fight his way, back into the game.
Yeah, a supply lead with all those queens dead and all the production he lost, simply because he kept those Mutalisks alive. But once they were gone, that was the nail in the coffin.
It was just one hit too much. It was one blow that took Lenok out, the final nail in the coffin, and now AZUBU advancing to the finals that are going to happen tomorrow. But we're not done for the day.
Yeah, we're not done just yet. We are doing the other side of our semifinals as well. I believe we'll have, it starts at 5, so I think we'll probably be about a 30-minute or so break after we have these interviews. Before we get into that, we'll probably see a results page and some other informations before we get into that break.
The second game today is going to be NS Hosa up versus LGIM. NS Hosa has jokingly been called Team Jakchi now, which I like quite a lot. So Jakchi seems he's back with Heart of the Swarm and back with a vengeance. But we have to wait if they can really take down LGIM. For now, congratulations to AZUBU of advancing to the finals, and FXO. Today they were not strong enough. I'm sure that we will hear a few words from both coaches, from both teams, and most likely also from our first all-killer, from Violet. We should actually interview him in English. I want to have an English interview, not a Korean one.
Because he's quite good in English.
Yeah, he's
completely fluent. Yeah, he's really good, and something that maybe some of you guys didn't know about Violet, but he's also very fluent in ZVZ.
Yeah, I guess he can speak ZVZ quite well. We saw that. He pointed out all the errors that Lenok made when he was talking in ZVZ, so...
He has a special dialect.
Yeah, Lenok had a few spelling mistakes, and his grammar wasn't like perfect, but Violet pointed out everything to him, and I feel like Lenok is not...
He has this weird 1-1 upgradian accent where he just doesn't go into mutas off 2 bass. It's kind of strange, but I liked it, you know?
It was good.
It was kind of
nice
romantic,
change.
really, you know? You ever...
I wouldn't call it romantic.
You know, people have that type of accent. It's charming.
Okay, if you're talking about the French now, no.
No. Just the 1-1 upgradian. It's got some charm to it for sure. I took this joke to the next level color because we're filling time and I don't know what's going on.
But this is...
I'm like, that's what I did, color. I admit it, and I would do it again if I had to.
I know what you're talking about. There are a few accents that are definitely Irish and Scottish.
Irish is good. I like it.
Especially, I actually like Scottish a little bit more than I like Irish, but both of them are really good.
Well, let's take our losers interview. We always interview the loser first.
Don't be so harsh. They're not losers. They're the second pick.
The defeated, the second place.
No,
그래요. 자, 스코어는 4대1로 비록 뭐 패배를 하긴 했습니다.
So what he just said is they prepared a little bit less for today's matches, and they weren't able to show the matches that they wanted to show today, unfortunately. He kind of apologizes here to the audience.
일단 저번 주에
You can see he's a little bit stressed out, not very happy about the performance.
있었을 때 제가 팬분한테 안 밝혔었는데 제 은퇴 경기였어요. 그래서 제가 정말 너무 이기고 싶어서 팬분들을 배려하지 못한 점 정말 죄송스럽게 생각하고 있고요. 그리고 일단
The last match that he played was his retirement match. He really wanted to win, so he played an all-in match. It's of course about the last game. And he apologized to the fans and is sorry that he all-in the last
네,
time.
알겠습니다. 저희도 힘차게 응원하고 있겠습니다. 작년 2012년에
They are the defending champion of the GSTL. They are going to do their best to win a real season. It actually makes me angry to hear him apologize because this just
That was
shows.
really weird. I wasn't quite following.
You know
that.
exactly why that happened. We talked about this earlier. This is because they got so much negative feedback from the fans after their first win, and I feel it was Joya played really well in his series, and that he actually had to deal with negative feedback before. It makes me personally angry that he's now sitting here apologizing for his win. It's like, excuse me, what is wrong with some people?
Well, the Korean netizens are pretty harsh, but I wouldn't say anything different about the Western ones. He's very happy, of course, about the win today. He expected 2 wins from Supernova. Obviously, that did not work out. It was really up to Violet to seize the win. He didn't expect Violet to get the all kill. And he's just saying, you know, basically Violet exceeded his expectations today.
Violet played great. If you get an all kill, even in the best of 7 format, it's still quite the accomplishment.
네네.
아 역시 클래스가 다른 김동환 선수가
네.
딱 쓸어버렸습니다.
아 그렇습니다. 처음에는 골치입니다라고 시작을 하더니 결국에는
Just talking about who he plans on using in the finals,
and 마무리를 해주셨습니다.
to be honest, I think that AZUBU is a team that kind of is coming out of nowhere in this preseason, surprising people a lot, and I think they need to be taken very seriously going into the regular season. I mean, look at those players. They're all old school players that we have seen come out time and time again in the past, but now they're here. He's saying that their players practice a lot for their matches today, and he's actually planning on giving them some free time tonight so they can rest for tomorrow's finals, which is important to note. Tomorrow is actually the finals, guys, for the preseason.
You know what you just said is so true. AZUBU is definitely one of the main contenders now for the GSTL as well. If you think about it, yes, this is still a little bit of a training ground for all the teams, but they presented themselves as a really strong team in the first match, now in the second, and they are in the finals for a reason. So a lot of teams will just look at them with very different eyes now and take them very seriously in the next season.
Yeah, I could not agree more. So let's take an interview with Violet.
Yeah. He must be really happy now.
Yeah, that was a sick win for him, you know. It's going to be a great confidence booster as well going into Heart of the Swarm.
He says he's not really doing well in the GSL and in the GSTL just recently, so he was really, really nervous getting into this first match.
편안히 저도 되겠다라는
He was relieved after the first game, and he was able to play better games, better matches.
Yep. And he definitely got some momentum going in this series. There's certain players out there that really feed off of that momentum. I feel like Bomber is a player who does as well. The more wins he gets, it seems like the stronger he plays in his subsequent games.
2013년은 제가 우승을 많이 하는 해가 되도록 최선을 다하고 다 하려고 준비하고 있으니까 많이 기대해 주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
네, 자 김동완 선수가 생각하는 우리 임성춘 감독님은 어떤 분이?
He wants to win championships in 2013, so he's going to practice quite a lot, and he will definitely play his best here.
넘치시는데요. 동네 형 같기도 하고, 근데 여기 경기장에만 오시면은 갑자기 통이 커지셔서 너무
His team his coach is basically like a big brother in the team house, and they have a lot of fun times together. It makes them feel really comfortable. And this is what AZUBU has been saying a lot. This coach is actually very well known in Korea, and obviously switching over into StarCraft 2 now, definitely doing a great job so far. And we are going to see the fungal again. That was the first miss.
Look at this, and here comes the second one, exactly where the Mutalisk would be.
And then he just does not hesitate to continue the fungals.
That was so good. That won him the game. This was the final blow.
Yeah. But just going back to what we were talking about earlier with the team environment, I think that it really goes to show that certain team houses are just not as good as other ones, and it makes a big difference when you have a team house that's working well. It's why we had so many good players come out of TSL. The team disbanded, but one of the things you note about the disbanded players is they all immediately got picked up by teams and went somewhere, and they're all heavy-hitting players that came out of that team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have so many good players that came out of TSL and that are now on different teams, being like main players there, like pillars of the teams, and Symbol doing so well in the individual league right now. Yeah, exactly. Hyun, Ragnarok too. But talking a bit more about Violet. Violet just mentions regarding to what we just saw in that replay, that it's a little bit harder now in Heart of the Swarm to use the fungals. And he saw the shadows of the Mutalisk where they would be, and he just predicted where they would be like the next second, so he went in and was able to take it.
Yeah. Really nicely done, and just excellent play. I expected Violet to do well today. I did not expect him to play this well. That was really nicely done. I mean, like you said, he saw the shadow of the Mutalisk and predicted the shot. That just goes to show this guy's reflexes are insane.
Yeah, definitely does. So congratulations once again to Team AZUBU Violet with the first all-kill in Heart of the Swarm. Very well done. Great game. So have a quick look at the match results now. Yeah. And let's see how this came to pass today. Things started off with a win by JKS. If you look at this, all of those wins by Zerg players.
Yep, all the wins by Zergs, and Violet gets the all-kill. He just simply knocks out JKS, Tier, the best, and Leenock one after the other.
And guys, one of the things, really, we talked about this earlier. We have, of course, now the next match coming up in only 40 minutes. We have NSOSA versus Incredible Miracle. But there's just one thing that I want to talk about again. We did this like when he kind of apologized. I said this earlier, in the Korean community, a lot of people were angry with FXOpen, especially with Choya, when the last match happened and Choya went for the all-in that we saw. And I don't know how you feel about this. I was actually really mad when I read that feedback and when I heard him apologize that he really feels the need that he has to. So if you are in the same position as I and think the same, then make sure that you send him a few nice words on Twitter. His Twitter account is FXOchoya. Exactly as you spell it, nothing there. I feel that he played really well in his game. He made a good effort. It was the last game that he actually played in his entire career, and now people are like hating on him. I can completely not understand.
It's crazy. Definitely support him. He's retired. He's not focusing on being a coach. He had a good run as a player. He really did.
He had a good run as a player. He's such a great guy. He is a great coach, and that people would give him hate for that.
I know he would love to see.
I have no respect for that at all.
He would love to see you guys telling him that he was a good player and that you enjoyed watching his time as a player. You had a lot of fun, smiles and laughs at some of his builds as well. Definitely tweeted him at FXOchoya.
FXOchoya is Twitter account. We have a 30-minute break. We will be back with the next semifinal shortly. So see you guys in a few.